Right. I want everyone to know something. But I'm not the real criminal. It's people like these guys. They're stealing everything from us, and they're getting away with it, too. Nobody's asking how. Nobody's asking why.
I didn't steal anything from
You gotta open your eyes out there. I mean, it's not like the government's no help. Hell, they just look the other way, since after they're done stealing our money, they barely even have to pay any taxes on it.
you. Hey, let me ask you this.
Shut up, Lee! Shut up! I came here to talk! Shut up for 2 minutes!
And that's a clip from Money Monster. It's the new Jodie Foster movie. Jodie, hello, how are you?
Hi there.
Thank you.
Good to see you this morning.
Thank you very much indeed for spending some time with us. Tell us about Money Monster. Tell us about the story, and then we'll see where we go from there.
Well, there's a sort of a showman, financial news host played by George Clooney, who is a little bit lost. He comes on with dancing girls. He doesn't really know who he is. He's just one big persona, and he has been selling this one stock. The stock happens to have a glitch, and people lose millions and $800 million over the course of 9 minutes. And one disgruntled stockholder who put all of his money, the only money that he had, he put it on this one stock, lost everything. He comes on the show with a gun and a bomb, and he defies everyone to explain to him what happened to his money.
Played by Jack O'Connell.
Yes, played by Jack O'Connell.
Does the character come from Queens?
Yes, he does.
Now, Jack comes from Derby.
Yes, he does.
In the East Midlands.
Yes, I
of the
can't
United
understand a
Kingdom.
word he says.
Right, okay. How tough is it to do Queens? A Queens accent?
Well,
Because to our ears, it sounds great.
He's amazing. Honestly, he's impeccable. Right, impeccable accent. But that's just the parlor trick of it all. I think it's really his acting. I mean, he's just a phenomenally authentic, true, genuine actor, and so committed. I'm so lucky to have him in the film.
Because we'll get to George Clooney and Julia Roberts in a minute, because no one is going to go, no one will be surprised that they're in the movie. But they might be surprised that Jack is in it, because presumably you weren't looking for an English actor.
I wasn't looking for an English actor, and I wasn't looking for a young actor. I mean, the part was written for somebody who was 35 and up, and I wasn't even keen on seeing him, and he sent in an audition tape, and I just was never able to look elsewhere. I mean, it's just amazing. What an amazing performance.
Because he has to express, he's sort of like key, obviously he's one of the main players, but he's sort of key to our understanding of the movie, because he has to express a rage, which a lot of people are feeling. Now, obviously, he's committed a terrible crime in the process, but in this country on the news, we're following your election, and we see what's happening to Bernie Sanders supporters and Trump supporters, and there is a rage going on, and your man, Jack O'Connell, has to stand in front of the camera, and for us, even though he's got a gun and even though he's got a bomb, for us to be going, okay, you've got a point.
Yeah, well, he is the everyman character, and when he first comes on, he is unstable and threatening and dangerous, and we're left off kilter because he is so filled with rage, and he isn't an intellectual. He doesn't have the vocabulary or the money or the power or any of the abilities that other people might have to defend himself, and so he really uses the only thing that he knows which is the wrong thing, but the only thing that he knows at his disposal at this point. And interestingly, by the end of the movie, he goes through all sorts of different changes, and by the end of the movie, you really understand him and love him, and you realize he's the wisest person in the room.
The interesting thing is, let me phrase that slightly differently. Direct action works. If you follow the rules, maybe you get ignored. If you break the rules, you get noticed. What do you think?
I don't know if that's my philosophy. I'm not much of a spokesman for activism, but it really is all about the characters for me, and that's why I make movies. It's all about the characters, and in this instance, you have somebody who's mad. And like a lot of people are in America and in Europe, they did all the right things. He did all the right things. He worked hard. He paid his taxes. He took care of his mom. He invested his money wisely in something that was said to be the safest bet that he could find. And he got screwed. And he isn't even, the threat isn't, give me my money back. The threat is, you just explain to me where it went. And some of that is about his feelings about himself, his feelings of failure and of being made to feel small and stupid by our incredibly overcomplicated financial system that's engineered to stay so complicated, to keep people away so that the people that write the rules can benefit from them.
If I asked you to explain a trading algorithm, which is a key plot point. Would you be able to do that?
I absolutely no. I don't understand any of that, and I've read many books and done lots of research. My puny mind will never be able to wrap myself around it. But it's our financial system is created that way. And now ever more so by computers and algorithms that have overtaken the financial world. And it's done that specifically so that the middlemen who invented these overly complicated rules can benefit from them directly financially.
When did George Clooney and Julia Roberts get on board this story?
Well, we worked on the script for a very long time, producers and myself, and a new writer named Jamie Linden, and we did brought a lot of layers to the project, and we got it just right with no financing involved, so that when it was perfect, we could bring it to an actor, and an actor would say yes, and that's kind of what happened. We brought it to George Clooney. He said yes. He jumped on board. He called his friend Julia Roberts, and
that's very helpful.
Yeah, I thought she'd say no. I said just get a quick no from her, and she loved it, and so she jumped on board after that.
Julia Roberts, she's playing the TV director.
Yes.
And what's so intriguing about their relationship? I mean, we know they've been in other movies together, and there clearly is chemistry between them, but we hardly ever see them together on screen.
That's right. They're only on screen, actually physically on screen together in the first minute of the movie and the last minute of the movie. But strangely and interestingly, throughout the film, they are together virtually. And in our society, in our world right now, virtual intimacy feels closer than being in the same room. She is in his ear in an earpiece, and so she's speaking to him the whole time, and he looks down the barrel of a television broadcast camera, and so he's looking directly at her monitor. They're actually 15 feet from each other, but they're closed off from one another. She's in a control room, and he's on the stage.
They're very funny.
They're very funny. They're very close together.
Yeah,
amazing dynamic. It's like a little voodoo thing that the two of them have together that none of us really understand.
Because it is a thriller and it is satire, but it is laugh out loud funny.
Yeah, it has a little bit of everything in it. That's something that I love in movies, that you can make something that's entertaining, that's for general audiences, that's a thriller, incredibly fast paced. It's the fastest movie I've ever seen or ever made, and yet it's a real personal story. And it has humor, and it has a lot of intelligent layers. And it requires a lot of the audience, and people have really jumped on board with that.
And I wonder if we would like George Clooney's character even less in the first half of the movie if it wasn't for Julia Roberts. We see George through Julia's eyes, really, and her cutting comments.
Yeah, Lee Gates's character is a jerk. He's egotistical. He doesn't care about anybody else. He's lost his responsibility as a journalist. He's just a showman who comes on with dancing girls and drinks too much. A blowhard, as we call them in the United States. And she believes in him. She knows he's an idiot, and she may jump off his show at any time, but she cares about him. And that faith that she has in him as time goes on during the course of the story, he really lives up to. In some ways, she is the one who is producing his survival, who unravels the mysteries, who does the job that the cops can't do. And together, they kind of form one hero.
When you were formulating the script, as you said, you had it for a while and you worked on it for a long time. Did Julia's role get changed very much? Because I can imagine another director would make the TV director very much a kind of almost an irrelevant character.
The first scripts, the TV director was quite irrelevant. She just said, go to 1, go to 2, go to 3, and that was it. Long before we brought Julia on, it was important for me to really make that character deeper, to create a full character, and to have that dynamic between the two of them be strong in the film. Then once Julia came on, we did even more work on that. And I guess I tend to do that even with the roles that I act in. I very rarely ever find a female part that's just fully fleshed, so I always have to spend a lot of time, making it deeper.
Will we see you act again?
Absolutely. I don't know when, but you will see me act at some point. I mean, I've been acting for 50 years, so I can't imagine that somehow I'm just going to stop now, cold turkey. But it's important for me to focus on the directing now. I've only directed 4 movies over the course of, since I was 27, so a long career. And I raised 2 kids, of course, and did lots of movies as an actress. But now is really the time for me to focus on directing.
Is this the most ambitious film you've done?
I think this is technically the most ambitious
as a director,
movie. Yeah, as a director, it's technically the most ambitious movie I've ever done. It's a big jigsaw puzzle, and I'm not sure that the audience will notice because the seams are so finely woven. A movie that happens in real time. So it happens over the course of 2 hours, and the movie is an hour and a half long. virtually in real time, where you have one event that's being broadcast on, there's 4 different cameras that are capturing it, broadcast cameras, and then there's a film camera, and then you have monitors in the control room, and you have monitors everywhere in the world that's watching it, including the command unit where the police are, and different coffee shops in Korea and South Africa and Iceland, all over the world. But we film a movie over the course of 45 to 50 days, and to figure all of that out, where are you going to be, what edit, you had to figure out the editing before you even started the film.
Here's the thing, Jodie. We spend a lot of time on this show talking about movies, almost all of them kicking in at 2 hours and 45 minutes. It's the new normal.
Yes.
And we've often said that very few movies would suffer if they had 30 minutes taken away from them.
I'm with you. I like
you
short
make
movies.
But you make short movies. Now, this is a movie, as you've mentioned, it's 90 minutes.
That's right.
How is that even possible?
Oh, it could have been shorter. I'm always extending my movies, with credits, because I find it very hard to meet the hour and a half length. I like very verbal films, and I like films that are fast-paced and that make you think, and that have intricate weavings of character and plot. So, yeah, I have no desire to make long movies. I like watching them sometimes, epics. It's worthwhile to have that experience, but it's just not my voice as a filmmaker.
What I'm intrigued about is that, I checked it afterwards, that it is 90 minutes, because it doesn't feel like a 90-minute movie. There's an awful lot going on. There's lots of words. It's
a very complicated movie that has a lot of different layers, and I embrace that. I like that, and there are plenty of times where people were worried about that. They like their genres nice and tidy. They like to have a film that's just a thriller, or a film that's just a comedy, or that's all emotional. I believe that our lives are rich, and I have a lot to say. I talk a lot, and I have a lot to say. And I feel a lot as well, and I just don't feel as a filmmaker that I have to choose between the two.
And when you have a lot to say, do you think, because you've directed House of Cards, an episode,
Yes.
and Orange is the New Black, which is, what a fantastic series that was, and the book was terrific. Does TV appeal just as much? If you've got a lot to say, is that an easier and quicker, and if you want to make 60-minute films, you're going to end up in television.
Well, I like television because it's fast. It's fast-paced, and that's, it's easy for me to work in that milieu. And I get to work in all sorts. I can do thriller, I can do comedy, I can do dramedy, I can do, all sorts of things on television, and then jump back and forth between them. But it's not the same investment unless you're exec producing as well. So as a director on television, you're more for hire. You're coming in to execute and to serve the vision of someone else. So, I like going back and forth between the two, but features allow you to have the film be entirely your vision, entirely your signature that's about the things that you find meaningful.
Sorry, was that word you used, dramedy?
Dramedy, yes.
Is that a thing?
Does it exist, or did I just make it up?
I don't know. I kind of know. I understand what you're saying. Anyway,
it does exist, and it's something that I do in all my movies. I can't seem to tell a story that's meaningful or personal to me without laughing at it. And I also, like dramatic things that happen. So I have to do a combination of both. And lots of people, myself included, struggle with that tone because you have to figure out how to keep the audience moved and with your characters in terms of the drama, but you also have to figure out where you can fit in the comedy so it's not so broad that it doesn't just distract from the drama.
Jodie Foster, we appreciate your time with us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.